Hello, everyone, and welcome to Self-Care, Mindfulness, and Remaining Positive, the second in a special series of AFTD webinars. We understand that the COVID-19 epidemic is having significant impact on people living with FTD, their care partners, their families, and the health professionals who support them. To that end, we have developed a special series of webinars to bring you educational content that we believe can help families manage the FTD journey during this difficult time. I'm Nadine Tatton, Scientific Director at AFTD, and our presenter today is Corey Esannason, an AFTD Ambassador and a registered yoga teacher. On behalf of everyone here, I would like to thank you for joining us today. Before we start, I want you to know that this special webinar series is brought to you by the generous support of our 2020 Education Conference sponsors. We'd especially like to acknowledge our platinum sponsors, Elector, Biogen, Ionis, and Buffalo Trace Distillery, Gentlemen of the Pappy Van Winkle Classic, as well as the gold sponsors. Thank you for making today's webinar possible. We'd also like to thank these additional silver sponsors and nonprofit partners. We encourage your participation in this interactive event today, so you will need a pen and paper for some of these exercises. After Corey's presentation, there will be an opportunity for questions. You submit any questions you have by typing them into the questions section, which is located towards the bottom of your control panel on your screen. Please send your questions as you think of them, and we will ask as many as possible at the end of the presentation. Our audience will be muted for the duration of the presentation. This helps to keep the background noise to a minimum so that everyone can hear the presenter clearly. If you have any technical issues, please write a message in the questions box, and AFTD's Lauren Gauthier and Dina Chisholm will try to address them with you. We are recording this presentation and will post it on AFTD's website and YouTube channel. Please share it with others you think may be interested. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our presenter, Corey Esannason. Corey is an AFTD ambassador and a registered yoga teacher with over 15 years of experience and training. Her mom passed away from FTD in late 2019. Let me now turn it over to Corey, and she can tell you a little bit more about herself. Corey, over to you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Nadine, for that introduction, and thank you to AFTD for having me present this webinar today. I'm so excited to be able to be here with you and share with you both my personal and my professional worlds. While we're all apart today across the country, perhaps across the world, depending upon where you are, due to COVID-19, we are still connected by our common thread of FTD. Whether you are a caregiver, a person diagnosed, or a professional, you have a life affected by FTD, and you are a part of this greater FTD and AFTD community. In Buddhism, the word Sangha means community, and we are all connected to AFTD as a way to bring us together and as a way to help us reduce our stress, and that's what we're here to talk about today. My connection to AFTD and FTD community has been paramount as I moved through my mom's diagnosis with FTD. As Nadine mentioned, my mom, Anne, passed away from FTD in November. My mom, like many of your loved ones, was taken from this world too young by FTD. She was officially diagnosed in 2011, but we knew something was wrong as early as 2008, and in hindsight, probably much earlier. Her journey, which I often refer to as the long ripping off of a Band-Aid, was full of ups and downs and a constant sense of living in the unknown. What would happen, when, how would my dad be, etc., etc. My sisters and I did all that we could along our journey, to support my dad. My dad was her full-time caregiver until she moved into memory care in 2015. And I've always said to my dad that his job as the spouse and the full-time caregiver was the hardest job of all. My mom was an amazing, cheerful woman, and the one saving grace along our FTD journey was that she maintained that part of her personality. Even after moving into memory care and remaining 2 years on hospice until she passed away, she never lost her calm or wonderful smile. And that is what I carry with me today. She would have a lot to say about stress management. Most of it would be corny, so I'm very excited to be able to share with you my professional perspective on that. We're going to start today with a little experiment. And as Nadine noted, you need a piece of paper. So if you don't have a piece of paper or something to write with, just take a moment and go ahead and get something for yourself. If you have 2 pieces of paper or something that you can do a front and a back, that would be even better. Once you have those, put them down and then close your eyes wherever you are. And as you close your eyes, my eyes are closed too, as you can see. I want you to think about your most frustrating FTD experience. Put yourself in that place. Notice who you're with, where you are. Maybe you remember what you were wearing. Maybe you remember the words that were said. Maybe you remember that there were no words, that it was quiet. Whatever it is, see if you can conjure up all the details about that memory, about that frustrating FTD moment, where you were, how it made you feel, what your body was doing, taking in as much information as you can. And then go ahead and open your eyes. And as you open your eyes, grab your first piece of paper. And on that first piece of paper, write down exactly how you feel. Doesn't matter your spelling, it doesn't matter any words that you put, there's no right or wrong answer. And as you write down your words, I'll share with you what my piece of paper says. So my piece of paper says pissed off, angry, punched in the gut, sad, lonely, exhausted, anxious, confused, worried, despair, questioning everything. My paper looks something like this. So write down as many words as come to mind, as many adjectives that describe that situation. And then take that piece of paper, and if it has a side, flip it over, and if it doesn't, just push it away. And again, close your eyes. And now as you close your eyes, imagine your favorite place. Maybe it's a place that you've gone every summer on vacation. Maybe it's a place you've only been once before. Maybe it's a place you have a postcard or a picture of on your desk, but you've never been. Use your imagination and put yourself in that place. Conjure up all of the details that you can. Excuse me, what is the weather? What's the temperature? Are you inside? Are you outside? What sounds do you hear? Are there voices and talking? Is there music playing? Are you eating a meal? What are you wearing? Who are you with? Taking in all of the information about your favorite place, what it sounds like, what it smells like, what it feels like, all of the details, and just letting that all soak in, putting yourself in that space, letting it envelop you. And then let your eyes open. And as your eyes open, on that second sheet of paper or the back of that paper, write down how thinking about your favorite place made you feel. So as you write down your words, I'll share with you what's written on my paper. So my paper says light, calmer, spacious, relaxed, free, love, smiling, heart happy, positive, Italy, Rome. My paper looks something like this. Keep writing if you're still writing. And then go ahead and look at your papers, either flipping one over and then the other, or putting them side by side, and just noticing the difference in your adjectives. And if your papers are anything like mine, the adjectives on that first piece of paper are quite more aggressive than the adjectives on the second piece of paper. And you can even tell by the way that mine are written out how different my red words, so to speak, are from my blue words. So this simple exercise is just a way to show you how we didn't change anything. Unfortunately, and sometimes we talk about in stress reduction being able to remove the stressor, but all of you having a common connection to FTD know that we cannot remove the FTD stressor. If we could, we would. So we have to figure out ways in which we can work with that. So here, all you did was for 30 seconds, shift your perspective. You didn't take away your negative FTD experience. You didn't actually go to your favorite place. You just shifted your perspective about what you were thinking about, and you changed how your adjectives went from these kind of more red, aggressive places to hopefully these lighter, bluer, less aggressive places. So today is just an opportunity for us to figure out tools to keep in our toolbox to help us de-stress, to help us create space between our actions and our reactions. So for me, yoga, stress management, mindfulness, self-care is really about that. It's about figuring out ways that you can create space, that in 30 seconds, just like you did with those examples about what you were thinking about, you can shift your perspective. You can take your list of adjectives from more red and aggressive to blue and a little bit lighter and more ease. One of my favorite yoga teachers, Donna Fari, always says that yoga does not remove us from the reality of the responsibilities of everyday life, but rather it places us and our feet firmly on the ground, resolutely in our practical ground of experience. And to me, that's what self-care is all about. Giving yourself the tools to be able to firmly plant your feet on the floor and be grounded. So in a world that's swirling around when you're dealing with all of the unknowns that is FTD, being able to provide yourself some simple tools that you can take out at any point that don't need a yoga outfit, that don't need 40 minutes, that don't need a yoga mat, to give you the opportunity to help your body feel better, to maintain control over your actions and your emotions as you move through your world. So today we're going to move through a bunch of different exercises. All of these exercises are on the handout that's attached to the webinar. So you should be able to click where it says handout, and you can reference anything that we are going over in the next portion of the webinar. I'm going to move now to the seated chair that's behind me, and you're welcome to do the same thing at home. So whether it's a chair or if you feel more comfortable seated, you could sit on the floor, you could sit on a cushion, a block, a blanket, or you could put yourself on any type of comfortable chair. So go ahead and make that choice for yourself, wherever you feel like you want to be. And I'm going to move to the chair behind me, and then we'll go from there. So as you come to find a space to sit, whether you've stayed seated on the floor or whether you've moved yourself to a chair, just make sure that your feet are firmly planted. So going back to that quote, you want to make sure that your feet are planted on the floor. So that means that if you're shorter like I am, you probably have to sit a little further forward. So if I show you from the side view, rather than sitting back and letting my feet kind of hang and not ground my nervous system, I want to sit all the way forward on the edge of the chair so that I create a right angle, so that the frame that I create for my body, the house, right? You want a good foundation for any house or apartment that you buy, so that everything that you're living in is well organized. Same thing for your body. You want to make sure that your frame is well organized, so that your body is well organized, so your organs function well, so you can breathe well, so you can think well, so you can maintain your nervous system the best that you possibly can. So the first thing that we're going to start with is what I just call taking notes, kind of like taking inventory. So as you place your feet on the floor, you can rest your hands on your thighs or anywhere that feels comfortable, and then go ahead and close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, just use your kind of senses and your internal sense of sight to check in. Almost like taking inventory of your refrigerator for what you might need to go get at the supermarket. Noticing what your body is and how your body is feeling wherever you find yourself today. Noticing how it feels in all of the places where you fold and unfold. The jaw, neck, the shoulders, knees, the hips, ankles, the feet and toes. If you had to pick an adjective for how your body overall feels right now, what adjective would you give it? And then let your attention move to your breath. So you don't have to do anything specific with your breathing right now. Just notice. Where does your breath move as you inhale and as you exhale? Is it even easy to identify where your breath is moving? Maybe the breath feels long, maybe the breath feels short, maybe the breath feels even, maybe it feels uneven. And again, what adjective would describe your breath right now? And if you want to take it a step forward, you could notice the adjective that you picked for your body and for your breath. Are they similar? Are they different? And then let your eyes open. So you didn't do anything specific. You just gave yourself an opportunity to check in. Oh, am I squeezing my fingers? Am I tightening my jaw? Oh, I didn't know my right heel was off the floor. So just the opportunity to notice how you set your body up, what your breathing is doing, is a great way and a nice tool just to be able to check in and see how you are and identify it. And maybe you do that in the morning when you wake up, maybe you do it at night before you go to bed. And if you're feeling kind of out of sync or you notice things that maybe don't make your body feel great, you can say to yourself, oh, what can I do about that? Can I think about my favorite place? Can I take a deep breath? So we're going to move on and we're going to do something called shamatha meditation. It's from the Buddhist tradition. And quite simply, shamatha means calm abiding. And this meditation is a simple way of just paying attention to the breath. I say simple way, but I know it might not actually be that simple to do. So the instruction here is that you just want to follow along with your breath, similar to the way you might follow along with a metronome to keep the rhythm or the time of a piece of music. So you can do this either with your eyes open or your eyes closed. Most normally it's instructed to keep your eyes open, but your gaze to kind of cast down, because like the Buddha is, or the Buddha was, you want to stay awake. You don't want to close yourself off. So if closing your eyes kind of pulls you in or pulls you out of staying attuned to yourself, you want the eyes to be open so that you're continually awake to whatever you notice. So as we move through this meditation, we'll do it for a minute. The only instruction again is to just follow along with your breathing. So simply saying to yourself, inhale and exhale as you follow the pattern of your breathing. And if you find that you're thinking about something you have to do later today, or the phone that's ringing in the other room, or something that you have to take care of, a phone call you have to make, acknowledge that thought, label it thinking, and come back to your breath. And it doesn't matter how many times you say to yourself thinking, or how many times you come back to your breath. So go ahead and again, either let the gaze kind of cast down, but the eyes open. And then focusing on your breath. Finding your inhalation and your exhalation. Sometimes even helpful to say to yourself, inhale and exhale as you move along with your breath. And reminding yourself that when you get distracted or a thought comes in, label it thinking and return back to your pattern of your breathing. Inhaling and exhaling. "15 more seconds. And then take a full breath in, let your gaze lift, let your chest rise. So again, that's called shamatha meditation, and the instructions for that are on the handout. So if you ever want to go back to it, reference it again, you can take it with you. It's on that handout. So meditation, breathing, checking in are all really simple things that you can do. When you have time, when you have some space, moving your body is also a really wonderful thing to be able to do, to connect your breath with your movement, to start to open things up and move things around. Our bodies hold our emotions. Our bodies hold our feelings, they hold our stresses. So being able to move and literally move through them is a really wonderful way to help calm the nervous system. So we're going to really simply do what's sometimes called a sun breath, a lifting of the arms and a releasing of the arms. And we're going to connect it with our inhalation and our exhalation. So as you inhale, you're going to stretch the arms out and up. Bring them alongside your ears. Only come as high as feels comfortable, rotating the arms so the palms face in. And when you exhale, then you're going to bring your arms down by your sides. So we're just going to do that about 5 times, connecting your in-breath with your out-breath and the movement of your arms as they rise up as you inhale, and lengthening the arms as you breathe down. Seeing if you can keep your feet firmly planted on the floor. So inhaling and the arms reach up, the crown of the head lengthens, the tailbone connects to the floor, whatever you're sitting on. When you exhale, the arms come down by your sides. Now you might take this a little faster or slower than I'm saying. You might find that your inhalation isn't quite enough, so you need a second inhale as those arms come up. And maybe you take 2 exhales as the arms come back down. Let's do that 3 more times. So inhale, stretch the arms out and up. Big full breath in as the arms rise up. And as you exhale, arms reaching as they come down by your sides. Nice. Again, inhale, stretch the arms out and up. Big full breath in, staying connected to the feet and the hips as the arms lift. And as you exhale, bringing the arms down by your sides. Let's take that 1 more time. So inhale, stretch the arms out and up. Big full breath in as you rise up. Using your whole exhale to bring the arms down by the sides. Nice. So as we continue on with a little bit of movement, just remember, since I can't personally see all of you today and I'm not sure about your bodies or injuries or anything that you might be dealing with, if something doesn't feel comfortable for you, you might just want to watch and then join in after, or you might say, oh, this isn't working for me, so just step away from it, taking ownership of your body and taking care of your body in that way. So we're going to add a little twist to our arms. So twists are really great because they're detoxifying for the nervous system. They're detoxifying for our organs. So as we twist, everything kind of moves, right? It's almost like the idea of when you bring out your sponge in your kitchen sink and when you squeeze it out, all the dirty water or soapy water kind of runs out of the sponge. So a twist is similar in that as you come into a twist, everything kind of moves around, the organs get squished, the circulation moves in a different way. And when you exhale and come back out of a twist, you get fresh blood, fresh oxygen that runs into the body to kind of reinvigorate it and open it up. Twists are also really detoxifying because they help maintain the length of our spine. So when you come into a twist, always think about lengthening first and then rotating as you exhale. So we're going to use the same arms that we just did, and we're going to add a twist. So as you inhale, you're going to stretch your arms out and up. And as you exhale, you're going to take your left hand and place it on your right knee or your thigh. And your right hand is going to come next to you on the chair. If you have an arm on your chair, it will come up and bring that hand there. And then lengthen your spine as you stay in your twist with your inhale. Breathing out with your exhale, seeing if you can let your chin be parallel with the floor. And then as you inhale, come back through center and we'll go the opposite direction. So exhale, twisting to the left, your right hand is gonna fall on your knee or your thigh, and your other hand is gonna come on the outside of your chair or the floor or the armrest of the chair if you have one. Lengthening your spine as you inhale and rotating your spine as you exhale. Breathing in and breathing out. And again, inhaling and coming back through vertical. And as you exhale, taking a twist in the opposite direction to the right, letting that left hand fall on the near thigh. If it feels too far to bring the hand over, you can always put it in the middle or keep it on the same side, the same knee. Lengthening your spine as you inhale and rotating your spine as you exhale. And then again, inhale, come back through center, and we'll go one more time to the other side. As you exhale, twisting around to the left, so that right hand comes on the knee or the thigh, the other hand on the floor or the chair next to you. Lengthening your spine when you breathe in again and rotating your spine as you exhale, being sure to keep those feet grounded so your nervous system stays connected. And then inhale and come back up through center. And as you exhale, bring your hands down. So side bending, opening up the sides of the waist, are also a really nice way to get into parts of the body that we tend to hold or that we just tend to forget about, right? So we think so much about our breath and our lungs moving in the top, but our breath and our lungs can move in our whole front body and our side body and our back bend. So make your stance a little bit wider. If you're sitting on the floor, you should be okay, kind of if you're just in a cross-legged seat. And we're just gonna work a little bit with opening the side. So you're gonna take your right palm or your right forearm and rest it on your right thigh. You're gonna reach your left arm up. Inhale, and as you exhale, you're gonna side bend over. Don't go so far that you pick up the left hip, just enough that you start to open up the sides of the waist so that you can really kind of spread out, almost like you could elongate the spaces between each one of your ribs. Careful that you don't go so far that you collapse, just enough to get you out and opening that side body. Take a breath in and a full breath out. Inhale, come back to the center. As you exhale, switch. So place the left hand on the left thigh, reach the right arm up. Inhale, go straight up. And as you exhale, big side bend over, lengthening through, keeping connected so you don't go so far that you pull yourself out of your hip crease. One more breath in, one more breath out. Good, inhale, come back to the center. And then as you exhale, just let the hands rest. Good, let the feet come in a little bit. So as I said from that quote before, sometimes one of the best things you can do to ground your nervous system, to make you feel a little bit more in control when things feel unknown or out of control, is to stand tall, is to place your feet firmly on the floor. So yes, you can do it seated. If it's available to you to stand, we're gonna come and do 2 standing poses. So the first standing pose that we're gonna do is mountain pose, Tadasana. And I always remember mountain pose and the Sanskrit word for it, Tadasana, because it's saying, ta-da, here I am. And it's a really simple way to be able to say, okay, things are swirling all around me. Maybe I feel super stressed out, but I'm just going to stand. I'm going to place my feet firmly on the floor and I'm going to stand my ground. So as you look down at your feet, you want to make sure that they're parallel. So your ankles are underneath your knees, are underneath your hips. So again, going back to the way that you frame your body out. When you do mountain pose, if your balance is such that you don't feel stable just standing, you're welcome to hold on to something or come to the side of the chair and hold on sideways like so, or behind the chair is okay too. If you feel comfortable, go ahead and take your palms and press your palms together. Let your right hand meet your left and your left hand meet your right, so that instead of pushing yourself to one side, you really just come back to find yourself in the middle. You're welcome to keep your eyes open or close your eyes. Put your feet firmly on the floor, root down through your legs, rise up through the crown of your head. The word yoga means union. So to unite, to join, to yoke, to bind. And in order to have that union, you have to have more than one direction, more than one thing happening. So you're rooting down through your legs, but you're rising up through the crown of your head. As you rise up through the crown of your head, you're staying connected to the ground below you. So your lower body gives you stability, gives you ground. So your upper body can be mobile and able and capable. Take a full breath in. Full breath out. You can also practice mountain pose with your arms just down by your sides. Having the arms rotated and the palms forward slightly opens the collarbones, opens the top of the lung. It also opens the nervous system a little bit more. So palms together tends to be a little bit more grounding. Palms open tends to wake everything up ever so slightly. So you can play around with those 2 arm placements. You can also take mountain pose with the arms overhead and the palms connected. This is a little bit more taxing on the shoulders. So if it feels like it's pulling you in or rounding yourself, then you probably want to come back down to a placement with the arms low or the palms together. So one more time, find a hand placement that feels comfortable for you. I'm going to work with my palms together. Place your feet down, look down, make sure they're parallel, make sure all 10 toes are pointing ahead. You can be barefoot, you don't have to have shoes on, but it's fine to have your shoes on. Take a big full breath in, and a big full breath out. And just notice your breath as you inhale, and as you exhale, maybe close your eyes. Your eyes closing might throw your balance a little bit because we all rely a lot on our vision to help keep us stable. One more breath. Inhaling and exhaling, just noticing where you are as you stand tall, noticing the sounds that you hear around you, the movement of your breath, finding yourself, putting yourself in the middle as you stand your ground. One more breath in, one more breath out. As you exhale, let the eyes open, bring your hands down. Good. So you can add that sun breath that we did when we were seated with the lifting and the rising of the arms. You can do that in mountain pose. So that's a really great way, A, to play with your balance and get grounded, and then B, to add the second layer of dealing with the relationship between your breath and your movement. So if you did that, it would look something like inhale, lift the arms up alongside the ears. And as you exhale, bring the arms down by the sides. We can do that 2 more times. So inhale, stretch the arms out and up, big full breath in. And as you exhale, rotating the arms, bringing the palms down by the side, lifting up through the crown of your head as your arms come down. One last time, just like that. Inhale, stretch the arms out and up, big full breath in. And as you exhale, bring the arms down by your side. So finding your mountain pose, finding your Tadasana, standing tall. And sometimes just the simple act of finding mountain pose, of standing tall, gives you a sense of ground, a sense of ease in a space where you don't necessarily have that. So we're going to add to that a little bit and kind of play with our balance and play with our ground by balancing on one foot. So balancing on one foot is great because it says to your body, oh, hey, I didn't know I could balance on one foot, or, oh, it's challenging to balance on one foot. What can I do in a challenging situation? What do I do in challenging situations? So it's also a way to kind of look at what's habitual for you and how you can work with that. So as we practice tree pose, just a word, you don't need to do this standing. So if you can't do it standing, you're welcome to just try and play with your balance, lifting one foot up and maybe putting it on the other leg and putting it back down. But if you come to standing and you need just a little bit of support, you can always put your hand on something. You could stand next to your chair or behind your chair and hold on with one hand or two, depending upon how you're oriented to the chair. So tree pose, as I mentioned, is the balance on one foot. You can do it with shoes on. It's even nicer to do it barefoot. So make sure that as you stand your ground, your one foot that you're standing on, so I'm going to stand on the left leg for right now, is solid. You don't want to lock that knee. And then the other foot that you pick up can be tiny. So you might just pick it up and put it back down. Or you might say, oh, I can pick my foot up and I can put my heel against my other foot and I can play with my balance there. Maybe you can lift it up a little higher. And if you find that, great. If you're able to lift the foot even higher, that's fine. Just make sure that your hips are still pointing forward. Make sure that you're steady. So whether you're holding on to something or you're putting your hands on your hips, let your foot press into your leg and let your leg press right back into your foot. So again, finding your middle ground, finding your frame, finding your form to give you good function, noticing what your movements are, noticing what your breath is doing, going back to taking note all within your tree pose. Take one more breath. And then as you exhale, put that foot down, put your hands down, just look down, make sure your feet are still even. And then we'll do the other side. And one side might be very similar to the first side, or it might be a whole different ball game. So as you stand now on your right leg, if you want to hold on to something, just make sure whatever you're holding on to, your arm isn't too far in front of you or too far behind you. You want to help it, whatever you're holding on to, help you stand up. So again, that right foot, or sorry, your left foot could be on your leg, or it could come up a little bit higher, but you don't want to push yourself over to one side. So you want the right foot to press into the left, and you want the left to press right back into the right. You could play around with your balance. Maybe one hand is on something, one hand is on your hip. Maybe your palms are together. Lifting your spine as you lengthen, grounding down through your standing leg. So finding that ground through your standing leg, connecting to your breath. If you're finding that you're holding your breath, from your jaw, come out of it, let it go, and then do it again. Maybe notice if your breath can be a little bit softer or your fingers can be a little bit lighter. Take one more breath. Good. And then as you exhale, bring that foot down, bring those hands down. So those are 2 standing poses, and lifting and bringing of the arms up and down, adding in a little sun breath that you can do to provide yourself some ground, to find your balance, to say, oh, I can stand on one foot and I can balance, and I can do that. Even in the midst of feeling things are unknown or uncertain, you can take ownership for your body in that way. So 2 simple things, maybe not so simple all the time, that you can do. We're going to come back to sitting. So as you come back to sitting, we're going to do something that's called lion's breath. I didn't make this up to make you feel silly. Lion's breath in Sanskrit, the language that yoga was first taught in, is called simhasana. So lion's breath is really silly, really fun, very awkward way of releasing tension. So in Simhasana lion's breath, you take a big breath in, you squeeze your eyes, you squeeze your mouth, you squeeze the belly a little bit, you pull everything in, and then as you exhale, you open your eyeballs, you open your mouth, you stick out your tongue, and you kind of roar a little bit like a lion. So the beauty of doing this via a webinar is that if you're home alone, no one else has to see you do it. You all get to see me do it, but it's a really nice way to release. So this is maybe not a tool for your stress reduction toolbox that you can do in the middle of having a conversation with the person who's right in front of you that you're annoyed with or upset about, but it's a tool that you can do for yourself at some point to release tension. Really helps the nervous system kind of let go of everything. So you're going to take a big breath in, you're going to squeeze your eyes closed, you can even make fists, you can even squeeze your toes, squeeze your belly, pull, 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 and then as you exhale, do that one more time. So squeeze your fists, squeeze your toes, pull everything in, breathe in, exhale. Nice. So along those lines of lion's breath, you can do something that I refer to as the lemon squeeze. So just like you guys know, if you wanted to add a little lemon juice to a recipe or drink you were having, if you cut that lemon in half and you squeeze it, juice is going to squirt out. So the lemon juice is something you can do with your nervous system in kind of a similar way. So you take your hand, pretend that you have a lemon in it. You can do one hand, you can do two hands, it doesn't really matter. And squeeze, 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 and then exhale and let it go. And again, squeeze, 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 and exhale, let it go. So in a situation where you're feeling frustrated or you're having a conversation with someone or something is really feeling anxious and upset, you can do the lemon squeeze and no one necessarily has to know about it, right? If you're sitting across from someone and you can put your hand behind your back or underneath the desk and they can't see it, you can squeeze, squeeze, squeeze that fist behind your back and let it go. So you can kind of signal to your nervous system to take a break, to release something, but no one necessarily has to see it. It's also really nice if you want to play along with the adjectives that we were talking about in the beginning, about your negative experience per se and your positive experience. You can put that negative experience, that one adjective you were having, in your hand. You can squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it, and then you can exhale and let it go, literally. You can squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it, pull it in, and exhale and let it go. You can actually even do it with an actual piece of paper. So writing that adjective on a piece of paper, crumpling it up really tiny, putting it in your fist, squeezing it, squeezing it, squeezing it, letting it go. And once it's gone and you've let it go, that paper is no longer a part of your hand, right? It's not there anymore. So you can make it tactile in that way. You can add it on. So the next few things that we're going to do before we come to the end are a breathing exercise called Viloma breathing, 3-part breathing. And then we're going to end with a loving kindness meditation that will end us even more with a body relaxation. Just remember, as Nadine mentioned, there are some questions. There's a Q&A session at the end. So if you're having questions about anything, you can type them into the little question box that's here, and hopefully we'll be able to answer some of your questions for you at the end. And also remember, there is a handout attached to the webinar that you can reference with directions for all of the things that we're doing. So this next breathing exercise that we're going to do is called 3-part breathing, or Viloma breathing. So Viloma breathing has 3 sequential inhales. The first one is near your belly button. The second one is near your rib cage, and the third one is up at the top of the chest near the collarbones. Now, if you feel more relaxed doing this laying down, you are welcome to put yourself on the floor wherever you are, as long as you can easily get up from that position. You just want to make sure that your body feels organized and supported as you do that. So if you have low back issues, laying flat, maybe not the best place to do that. Just depends upon how your body feels. So organizing yourself, I'm sitting upright in a chair, you might be sitting on the floor, you might be laying down. You can rest your hands on your thighs, or you can let your hands follow along with your breathing by keeping them on your low belly and then moving them to your ribs and then moving them to the top of your chest and exhaling all the air out. Just like with any pranayama that you do, any breathing exercise, if it starts to feel like you are getting agitated, like you're holding your breath, then let the breathing exercise go. Maybe you join back in the next round. Maybe you take it slower than my voice is saying or someone else's voice is saying if you're taking another class, but making sure that it doesn't agitate your nervous system. most breath work, most pranayama is done to calm the nervous system. So whether the eyes stay open or the eyes stay closed is fine. You're going to take a full breath in and a full breath out. And then I want you to inhale near your low belly, right near your belly button. Inhale, let the breath rise up into the rib cage. Inhale, let the breath rise up into the collarbones. And exhale fully. So again, inhale, low belly. Inhale, ribs. Inhale, collarbones. And exhale fully. Again, inhale, low belly. Inhale, ribs. Inhale, collarbones. And exhale fully. Take that one more time. So inhale, low belly. Inhale, ribs. Inhale, collarbones. And exhale fully. Just let your breath return to its normal pace. And if you're doing that ever on your own, just do it as many times as feels comfortable for you. So it doesn't need to be done for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 1 minute. You really want to follow along as your breath as your guide, what feels comfortable for you. And 3-part breathing, the beauty of it is you can do it at any time. So I did a lot of 3-part breathing before this webinar went live, just to keep my nervous system calm, as I knew I was talking about my mom and presenting to all of you and sharing with you. So it's a really simple thing that you can do in any type of situation where you're feeling anxious about something. So we're going to move on to a meditation called Maitri, sometimes called Metta Bhavana, but it's a loving kindness meditation. And in this loving kindness meditation, there's 4 mantras that we're going to work with. So the first one is, may I be happy. The second one is, may I be healthy. The third one is, may I be safe. And the fourth one is, may I be loved. And they don't always fall in that order when you do this meditation. You might hear it from other people, and the order of things might be different for those mantras. It doesn't really matter. But you want to make yourself comfortable. So whether you want to stay seated in a chair, whether you want to lean back a little bit in a chair, now would be the time to maybe put yourself flat on the floor or lay down on your back and support underneath your knees, but really making sure that you feel supported, that you feel comfortable, that you feel organized. And in this meditation, we're going to call to mind a few different people, and all you have to do is listen and follow along. And as you listen and follow along, just staying connected with that, all 4 mantras that we do will be connected to our breath. And as we connect them to our breath, you can just listen and follow along to my instructions. So again, making sure that you're seated or making sure that you're laying down, but making sure that you're comfortable. And as you come to your space, wherever you've put yourself, close your eyes. If it doesn't feel comfortable to close your eyes, you could keep your eyes open. You choose. And then think about yourself. All of your worth, all of your capabilities, all of your possibilities, all that you are and all that you do. And then your next 4 breaths are going to get connected to those mantras. So saying to yourself, may I be happy. With your next breath, may I be healthy. And with your next breath, may I be safe. And with your next breath, may I be loved. And then take your attention now to someone whom you love unconditionally. Picture them in your brain. Maybe it's a favorite outfit that they wear, or your favorite photo of them, the sound of their voice, how they're connected to you, their role that they play in your life. See them in your brain, in your mind's eye. And then you're going to direct those next 4 mantras to them. with your next 4 breaths. So may that person be happy. And with your next breath, may that person be healthy. And with your next breath, may that person be safe. And with your next breath, may that person be loved. See that person's image one more time. And then call to mind a person to whom you feel kind of neutral about. So maybe it's someone you see at work every day whose name you know, but you don't really know that person, or someone you ride the bus with or the subway to work with every day. You see them, they get on at the same spot or the same stop, but you don't actually know who they are. Maybe it's a checkout person. But someone you kind of feel neutral about, someone you know but don't really know, don't like, don't not necessarily not like. See them in your brain. What do they look like? If you know what the sound of their voice is, what is the sound of their voice? And then again, you're going to send those 4 mantras to that neutral person. So as you breathe in, may that person be happy. With your next breath, may that person be healthy. With your next breath, may that person be safe. And with your next breath, may that person be loved. And then go ahead and let that person fade. And now call to mind someone with whom you have an issue with, someone you have strife with, someone who you maybe don't unconditionally love, someone that there is an issue with. Call to mind that person. Maybe it's a person you have negative feelings about. Call to mind that person, see their face, the sound of their voice, recognize how they're connected to you. And then you're going to send those same 4 mantras to that person, that negative person, with your next 4 breaths. So may that person be happy. May that person be healthy. May that person be safe. And may that person be loved. And then let the image of that person fade away. And now call to mind all of those people and yourself and your kind of community beyond that. And you're going to send those 4 mantras to everyone, including yourself. So may we be happy. May we be healthy. May we be safe. And may we be loved. And then go ahead, and if your eyes are still open, let your eyes close. If you have glasses on, maybe take them off. Maybe if you're still sitting, now is the time to find yourself laying down. And see if you can really give yourself the opportunity to allow the weight of your body to just fall into the support of the floor. So that as you find space for relaxation, you can let go. You can know that in these next few moments, in these next few breaths, that you are supported by the ground beneath you, by the space that you're in at home, by this virtual community that you can't see, by the sound of my voice, that you are supported. that you are safe, that you can let go. That for the next few moments, there's nothing that you have to do. There's nothing that you have to take care of. There's just the space to be for you. Letting your body soften, letting your body go. And if you find that there are spaces that are kind of holding on or pulling in, use your imagination, send your exhalations right to those spaces. Because sometimes it's really easy to close your eyes, to let go, and other times it's a lot more challenging. So just noticing where you find your body. And then really slowly just wiggling your fingers and wiggling your toes. If you happen to be laying down, slowly rolling to your right side. If you're sitting in your chair and you're kind of leaning back more, bringing yourself further forward, and then bringing yourselves upright if you're not there already. As you exhale, rotate your arms so the back of your hand, you can't see my hand, but like this, is on your thighs. In a gesture of being open and of being receptive and of signaling to the nervous system to remain open, to inviting space, to inviting breath. Thanking yourselves for being open and receptive, for participating, and continuing to participate in your well-being as you move along. Reminding yourself that although you may not be able to control what's happening, you can control the space, you can control your breath, and you can create space, and you can give yourself little moments to take stress and maybe turn it into desserts, reminding yourself that the word stress spelled backwards is desserts. And it doesn't always feel like that, and it's hard to find, but sometimes as we move through a very unknown situation, a very gray feeling situation, there are silver linings. So finding them by staying connected to yourself. Let your palms come together, take a big full breath in and a big full breath out. As you exhale, let your hands release. Thank you all so much. It was really wonderful to be able to provide this webinar for you today and this content. The handout that's attached to the webinar has all of the information that we spoke about, all of the things that I talked you through, the breathing exercises, the meditations, as well as my contact information. So as Nadine said, I'm an ambassador with AFTD, so you're always welcome to get in touch with me and with AFTD for supports. But if you have specific questions about any of the materials, you're always welcome to reach out to me as well. Thank you all so much. I'm going to turn the program back over to Nadine, and we'll open the floor for a little bit of Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you, Corey. And we have time for a few questions. So let's get started. The first one is about people who are diagnosed with FTD, and specifically a caregiver asking, what about someone with progressive supranuclear palsy or PSP? So that's a movement disorder, and those people can be challenged by balance. So they can't do standing poses, maybe sitting poses are difficult. So can you adapt some of the things you've shared today for someone like that?
Sure. So a lot of the things that I did today are geared more towards caregivers, but that doesn't mean that you can't figure out ways to adapt them for persons diagnosed as well. The main thing to remember is that you just want to do what works. So in the very beginning, when my mom was more mobile, I could do a little bit of yoga with her. We could do certain things. As you know, since executive functioning is the difficulty with most FTD patients, following along was always really difficult for her. So I just tried to kind of help her do things. But I think one of the most simple things that you can do is to just breathe with someone. So especially if someone is wheelchair bound or has motor or mobility issues in that way, you can just connect with them by breathing. And a really simple thing that I used to do with my mom when I went and visited her in her memory care facility, even before that, was to just hold her hand in some way, whether it was palm to palm, whether it was the way that you would shake someone's hand. And then you would just do your simple, maybe you're doing the meditation that I showed you guys, the shamatha meditation, and you're just breathing along with that person. Maybe you put your hand on their belly and you just say inhale and exhale, but just in a really simple way, breathing together with that person. And sometimes even just the energy that you create by standing with that person, sitting with that person, sharing your breath with them, noticing how your body is, how their body is a way to communicate and effectively kind of tailor the exercises to those people.
Okay, I've got another question, and this one is about anxiety. And caregivers have so many different things to deal with, and so anxiety is kind of always there because you have a loved one you're taking care of, and you don't know how things will go when you take them to a doctor's clinic, or if you're going to go out for dinner with them, or someone's coming over to visit. So how does the caregiver deal with, one, their own anxiety, but also to help the person with FTD in those situations? Is there like an easy to do, solution for this?
I think one of the best things always for anxiety is 3-part breathing, or just to kind of signal to your nervous system, even if it's not full 3-part breathing, Bulima breathing, to just take a deeper breath, right? Because as our breath slows down, our nervous system does the same thing. So going back to maybe taking 3 simple inhales and a big full exhale, taking a step back, taking a big full breath in and a big full breath out, and just kind of knowing that it doesn't mean that your anxiety is going to go away. My anxiety has never gone away since my mom had FTD, and since she passed away, there's still anxiety that lies there. So just being able to identify that that anxiety is there, and then to use your breath as a tool. So taking a big full breath in and a big full breath out. And if you're moving into a situation, like you were saying, going to a doctor's appointment or out to dinner, where you know that there might be situations that are going to be difficult to navigate, maybe before you walk into that situation, or before you place your order, or before you respond to what the doctor says, take an inhale, take an exhale, give yourself space, and then move into that situation.
Okay, I think we've got time for one more question, and this is from a caregiver. And they're pointing out that, you're a yoga teacher, you're very attuned to what's going on inside, outside, and you can go into these breath things. But how does the average person remind themselves? How do they make that space and that time? Like, do you wear a little string on your finger? What do you do?
So as you might say, yes, I am a yoga teacher. And although I might seem very composed as I'm up here presenting this webinar to you, I would have to say that a large majority of the 10, 11 years that I dealt with my mom's illness and in now dealing with her grief, I'm not always calm. I'm not always this cool cucumber that you see up here. It doesn't always feel the way it appears, and vice versa. So I just remind yourself that you have tools in your toolbox, and there are going to be days that are going to be very high, and there are going to be days that are going to be very low. And to just be able to be kind to yourself and use them. And sometimes that means that you have to work, keeping a little breathing thing written down in your pocketbook. So as you get frustrated, you can say, oh, wait, what did Corey say? And go back to that. And the more that you do things, the more they become habitual, the more they become kind of your practice. So if there's something that feels really good to you, maybe you start by putting it in by saying, oh, I like that 3-part breathing thing that Corey did. Maybe I'm going to do it every day before I brush my teeth, or every day before I put my feet on the floor, or as I put my feet on the floor when I get out of bed, so that they're just simple ways to kind of come into a habit for you and to carry them with you.
Okay, so routine is good. Just making sure we do it. Okay, we're running out of time, and I have a few more announcements. So thank you so much, Corey, for this presentation and answering all these questions.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Thanks, everybody.
All right. So we hope everyone found this presentation to be informative and that you leave with new tools you can use during these challenging times. We will post the recorded webinar on AFTD's website under News and Events, and we will send out the link as soon as that's available. We've begun to compile these new resources on a special news section of our website, COVID-19 and FTD. You can access this under the Find Help menu on our homepage. Our helpline and Facebook groups offer individual information and support, as they've always done, and we are working with AFTD support group volunteers who want to offer virtual meetings for their existing groups. Please let us know if you have any comments or questions about today's presentation or about other ways AFTD can assist you moving forward. Finally, Our special webinar series will run through the first week of May. We hope you will join us for the third installment next Friday, April 24th at 1:30 p.m. Eastern, when Dr. Bruce Miller, Director of the University of California, San Francisco's Memory and Aging Center, and also a founding member of AFTD's Medical Advisory Council, will answer your questions on an Ask the Expert session. That focuses on FTD and COVID-19. Until next time, thank you all for spending this time with us. Stay safe and be well.